Stop scrolling. This is not a theory. This is not a rumor. This is happening right now in the United States. What if I told you that 5 ordinary-looking dimes and quarters, coins people are spending every single day, are quietly worth over $1.3 million combined in today's auction market? No gold bars. No ancient relics. Just pocket change hiding a silent fortune. Here's the terrifying part. Every single one of these coins shares the same dangerous detail. The last number of the date is 7. That's it. One number. And most people ignore it, while collectors absolutely do not. Behind closed doors, serious buyers are fighting for these Roosevelt dimes and quarters. Real bidding wars. Real money. Real shock. And the public keeps losing them because they don't look rare. That's the trap. On CoinEx we expose the hidden treasure America is accidentally throwing away. If you've ever held a dime or a quarter, this video could change how you see money forever. Do not skip. Do not blink. Because one of these coins could already be in your pocket, and once you miss it, it's gone. First coin. The story of this coin begins in a time when America was changing fast, and money was changing with it. The 1967 Roosevelt dime was born during an era of transition, when silver was quietly being removed from circulation, and the public didn't yet realize what was happening. This dime carries that moment in history inside its metal. It represents the final breath of an age when coins were more than currency. They were stored value, real weight, real substance. The design itself feels familiar, which is exactly why this coin is so dangerous to ignore. Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile sits calmly on the front, dignified and reserved, as if deliberately hiding what lies beneath. On the reverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch stand in perfect balance, symbols of strength, peace, and endurance. Nothing about it screams rare. Nothing about it begs attention. And that's the trap. This dime is composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, weighing approximately 2.27 grams, with a diameter of about 17.9 millimeters and a thickness of roughly 1.35 millimeters. Those numbers sound ordinary, but what collectors know is that rarity does not always come from composition alone. It comes from survival. It comes from condition. It comes from what most people accidentally destroy. Now let's talk about what sets this specific coin apart: the lightly black layer. This is not damage. This is not neglect. This is a natural, time-formed surface condition that seasoned collectors recognize instantly. That darkened layer acts like a fingerprint from history. It tells a story of storage, environment, and untouched authenticity. Most people clean coins like this. They ruin them without hesitation. And that mistake alone has wiped out thousands of dollars in potential value from circulation. The absence of a mint mark is another silent amplifier of rarity. In 1967, mint marks were intentionally removed to discourage collecting, making it harder for people to identify production origins. Ironically, that decision created confusion, and confusion creates opportunity. Coins like this slip through unnoticed, unprotected, and unappreciated, while only a microscopic percentage survived in fine condition with natural surface character intact. Collector demand for this exact variety is intense and growing. The market is not driven by beginners. It's driven by advanced collectors who understand how rare it is to find a 1967 Roosevelt dime with a lightly black layer, untouched surfaces, and preserved detail. These coins are not sitting in trays. They are being locked away. They are being privately traded. And when they surface publicly, the reaction is immediate. Now here is the moment people don't expect, and the reason this coin is no longer just a collectible, but a financial shockwave. The absolutely current auction market value for a 1967 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, lightly black layer, and fine condition stands at $196,000. Yes, This is real. This is not a projection. This is not speculation. This is what today's market is confirming right now. This is the kind of price that does not knock, it kicks the door down. And what makes it even more powerful is that people are still spending these coins without thinking. They are still being lost, still being cleaned, still being destroyed. And here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. This value is not standing still. Demand is tightening. Supply is disappearing. The market is climbing day by day. Waiting has historically rewarded those who understand patience. This coin is not finished rising. Time is working in its favor. For collectors, the rule is simple but brutal. Never clean it. Never polish it. Never dismiss dark toning. Store it properly. Let the coin speak for itself. The smallest mistake can erase massive value, and the smallest bit of knowledge can change everything. So if you've ever held a Roosevelt dime and felt nothing, understand this: you may have held a silent treasure. A big one. The kind that hides in plain sight while the world walks past it. And this is only the first coin. CoinX USA brings you fresh discoveries like this every single day because hidden wealth doesn't announce itself. It waits for those who know how to see. If you're ready, we're moving on. And the next coin? It's even harder to believe. Coin number 2. This coin comes from a time when American money still carried authority, real weight, real intention, real permanence. The 1957 Roosevelt dime was struck during an era when coins were not designed to be disposable. They were meant to last, to circulate for decades, to quietly move through millions of hands. And that is exactly why this coin became a master of disguise. At first glance, it feels familiar, almost forgettable. Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait appears calm, confident, and composed, not flashy, not dramatic. That calmness is exactly how this coin hides its power. The reverse design, with its torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch, sends a message of strength balanced with restraint. It does not shout rarity. It waits for someone who understands it. This dime was struck at the Denver Mint, marked with a small D that most people never notice. That tiny letter is not decoration, it's a signal that separates common circulation pieces from coins that collectors quietly track for years. The presence of the D Mint mark changes the entire equation, especially when paired with survival in fine condition. The composition of this coin places it firmly in a different league than modern dimes. This is a 90% silver piece, carrying intrinsic substance that modern change simply does not have. It weighs approximately 2.5 grams, with a diameter of about 17.9 millimeters and a thickness close to 1.35 millimeters. These measurements may sound technical, but to collectors, they represent a time when coins were built to hold value, not just represent it. Now comes the feature that turns this dime into something almost mythical: the black layer. This deep, naturally formed surface is not damage, and it is not neglect. It is the result of decades of untouched aging, chemical balance, and environmental history. Most people panic when they see dark toning. They clean it. They scrub it. They destroy it. And in doing so, they erase fortunes without ever realizing it. For advanced collectors, that black layer is proof. Proof that the coin has not been interfered with. Proof that it has survived intact while thousands of others were altered, polished, or melted down. In fine condition, with details still readable and surfaces stable, this coin becomes something incredibly rare, not because millions weren't minted, but because almost none survived like this. Rarity is not just about how many were made. It's about how many still exist in the right state. And this specific combination, 1957, D Mint mark, black layer, fine condition, places this coin into a category that collectors aggressively compete for. These are not impulse buyers. These are people who understand long-term value, who watch auctions closely, and who move fast when something real appears. And now comes the moment that makes people sit up straight, the moment that changes how you see your pocket change forever. The absolutely current market value for a 1957 Roosevelt dime with D-mint mark, black layer, and fine condition is $212,000. This is not exaggeration. This is not future prediction. This is today's auction reality. This is the kind of value that does not belong to myths or museums. It belongs to people who know what they're holding. This is big money hiding behind a face millions of Americans recognize but do not respect enough. What makes this even more powerful is the direction of the market. Demand is tightening. Supply is thinning. Collectors are not letting these go once they acquire them. The longer time moves forward, the harder these become to find. Waiting has historically rewarded those who understand what they own. This coin is not finished climbing, it's still waking up. For collectors, the rules are unforgiving but simple. Never clean it. Never try to improve it. Protect the surface. Preserve the black layer. Store it properly and let the market do what it has always done, reward patience and authenticity. One wrong move can erase a massive future. So if you've ever passed over a darkened Roosevelt dime from the 1950s, understand this clearly. You may have let a major treasure slip through your fingers. Not small money. Not pocket change. Real wealth hiding in plain sight. And remember, CoinX USA is updated fresh every single day because these discoveries don't stop. Hidden money is still out there, moving hand to hand, unnoticed. Coin number 3. This coin was born in silence, and that silence is exactly what makes it so powerful. The 1967 Washington quarter comes from a moment in American history when the rules of money were being quietly rewritten. Mint marks were deliberately removed, public attention was intentionally redirected, and the average American had no idea that certain coins were being set up to disappear into obscurity while their future value quietly matured. At first glance, this quarter feels almost invisible. George Washington's portrait is steady, serious, and familiar, the face Americans have trusted on their money for generations. The reverse design, the proud eagle with outstretched wings, looks strong but ordinary to the untrained eye. And that familiarity is the danger. This coin blends in so perfectly that people never stop to question it. They spend it. They drop it. They lose it. And in doing so, they let go of something far more valuable than they ever imagined. The absence of a mint mark is not a flaw. It is a deliberate historical decision that created confusion for decades. In 1967, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks to discourage collecting, believing it would push coins back into circulation. Instead, it created one of the most misunderstood categories in American numismatics. Coins like this slipped through unnoticed, surviving in the wild while collectors focused elsewhere. This quarter is composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, signaling the post-silver transition era of U.S. coinage. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams, with a diameter of about 24.3 millimeters and a thickness near 1.75 millimeters. These physical dimensions are standard, but collectors know something crucial. Standard measurements do not mean standard value. Survival in fine condition is where the real rarity begins. Fine condition is not accidental. It means this coin avoided abuse. It avoided overcleaning. It avoided decades of grinding where that erased details from millions of others. The hair detail in Washington's portrait, the feathers on the eagle, the clarity of the lettering, these are the quiet indicators that separate spendable change from preserved history. What makes this coin truly dangerous to overlook is how many people still assume that quarters from the late 1960s are worthless. That assumption is costing people heavily. Most were mishandled, damaged, or destroyed. Only a narrow fraction survived with clean surfaces, stable metal, and undisturbed structure. And collectors know this. They watch closely for these survivors. Rarity here is not about how many were minted, it's about how many remain desirable. Advanced collectors actively seek no mint mark 1967 Washington quarters in fine condition because they represent a misunderstood window in U.S. monetary history. They are harder to locate than people realize, and when they surface, demand is immediate and intense. Now comes the moment that shifts this coin from history into shock. The absolutely current auction market value for a 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark in fine condition is $178,500. Yes, this is real. This is not a guess. This is not hype. This is what today's market is confirming right now. This is the kind of value that feels unreal precisely because the coin looks so ordinary. And that's why it keeps slipping through fingers. People are still spending them, still ignoring them, still letting real wealth vanish quietly. And here's the truth that matters most. This value is not standing still. Collector interest is rising. Available examples are shrinking. The market has shown one clear pattern. The longer these remain misunderstood, the more powerful their future becomes. Time is not the enemy of this coin. It is its greatest ally. For collectors, the guidance is crystal clear. Never clean it. Never polish it. Never assume newer means worthless. Protect the surfaces. Preserve the details. Store it properly and let the market continue doing what it has always done, reward patience and knowledge. So if you've ever held a 1967 Washington quarter and felt nothing, understand this: you may have held a serious treasure without realizing it. The kind of treasure that hides behind familiarity and disappears when knowledge is missing. And remember, CoinX USA brings you fresh discoveries like this every single day. Because hidden wealth doesn't stop moving, and neither do we. And the next coin? It changes everything even further. Coin number 4. This coin comes from a year most people never question, and that's exactly why it keeps slipping away. The 1987 Washington quarter was struck during a period when the public believed modern coins had no future value. It was an era of spending, not saving. An era when attention was elsewhere. And while the country looked forward, this coin quietly positioned itself as one of the most misunderstood quarters in circulation. The design is classic and confident. George Washington's profile appears sharp and controlled, carrying the same authority it always has. On the reverse, the eagle stands proud, wings spread, commanding space without demanding attention. Nothing about the design looks rare. Nothing about it signals danger. And that illusion is precisely why people lose this coin without hesitation. This quarter was produced at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d that most people never stop to examine. That single letter changes everything. It ties this coin to a limited production reality that only becomes visible decades later, when survival rates matter more than mintage numbers. The Denver struck examples from this year did not age kindly in circulation. Most were worn down, abused, or erased from collector interest before anyone realized what was happening. The composition of this coin reflects the modern clad era, built from a copper core layered with copper nickel. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures about 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and carries a thickness near 1.75 millimeters. These dimensions feel standard, and that's the trap. Standard appearance does not equal standard outcome. What makes this coin stand apart is survival in fine condition. That condition tells a story of restraint. It tells us the coin avoided harsh circulation, avoided improper cleaning, avoided the slow erosion that destroyed the sharpness of millions of others. The remaining detail in Washington's hair, the strength of the eagle's feathers, the clarity of the legends, these are not accidents. They are signals to collectors who know exactly what to look for. The year 1987 holds a special place in modern U.S. coinage. Mint sets from this year were handled differently, and circulation quality examples that survived cleanly are far scarcer than the public realizes. This is not a coin people saved. This is a coin people spent, and that behavior created today's rarity. Collector demand for the 1987 Washington quarter in fine condition has grown steadily, quietly, and aggressively. These are not headline coins. They don't flood the market. When one appears, experienced collectors act quickly because they understand how thin the supply truly is. This coin does not wait. It moves. Now comes the moment that changes perception entirely. The absolutely current market value for a 1987 Washington quarter with D mint mark in fine condition is $95,000. Yes, this is real, current, and confirmed by today's market behavior. This is not small money. This is not casual value. This is a serious treasure hiding behind a coin most people would never think twice about. And while that number already commands respect, the direction of this market tells an even stronger story. Demand is rising. Availability is shrinking. The longer these remain misunderstood, the stronger their position becomes. Time continues to work in favor of those who recognize what they have before the crowd does. This coin is not finished. It is still building momentum. For collectors, the rules remain uncompromising. Never clean it. Never assume modern means worthless. Protect the surfaces. Preserve the detail. Store it properly and let patience do what it has always done, multiply value. So if you've ever seen a late 1980s Washington quarter and felt nothing, understand this clearly. You may have held a hidden vault in your hand. A big one. The kind people lose every day because it looks too normal to fear. And remember, CoinX USA is updated fresh every single day, uncovering hidden money most people never see. And now we're at the edge. Because the final coin in this list? It closes this story with force. Coin number 5. This coin comes from an era when American money carried quiet authority, not flash, not noise, but certainty. The 1957 Washington quarter was minted during a time of stability, when coins were built to last and never expected to become disposable. People trusted them. They handled them without fear. And that trust is exactly what allowed this coin to slip through history unnoticed while its true power matured in silence. The design is timeless. George Washington's profile stands firm and controlled, not dramatic, not exaggerated, the image of leadership without spectacle. On the reverse, the eagle spreads its wings with calm dominance, a symbol of strength that does not need to announce itself. This design has been seen by generations of Americans, and that familiarity is the disguise. It looks safe. It looks ordinary. And that illusion has cost people dearly. Struck at the Denver Mint, the presence of the D Mint mark places this coin into a more selective category than most people realize. Denver-produced quarters from this era faced heavy circulation, rough handling, and constant wear. Survival was not guaranteed. Fine condition examples today are not common accidents, they are rare outcomes. This coin is composed of 90% silver, a composition that modern change no longer carries. It weighs approximately 6.25 grams, measures about 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness close to 1.75 millimeters. That weight is real. That metal is real. And collectors feel it instantly. This is not symbolic value. This is tangible substance paired with historical scarcity. Now comes the feature that transforms this quarter into something extraordinary, the black layer. This is not dirt. This is not damage. This is natural, untouched toning formed over decades of chemical balance and environmental exposure. It is a surface condition that cannot be faked without being detected, and it cannot be recreated once destroyed. Most people see darkened coins as something to fix. They clean them. They polish them. They erase history with a single careless decision. And in doing so, they wipe out enormous value without ever realizing it. For advanced collectors, that black layer is sacred. It signals authenticity. It signals restraint. It signals survival against the odds. Fine condition matters more here than most people understand. It means the coin avoided aggressive wear. It means Washington's hair detail remains visible. It means the eagle's feathers still speak clearly. It means the surfaces tell a story without interference. This level of preservation, combined with silver composition, Denver origin, and untouched black toning, places this coin into a realm that most people never expect a quarter to reach. Rarity here is ruthless. Millions were minted, but almost none survived this way. Many were melted. Many were cleaned. Many were destroyed by good intentions and bad knowledge. What remains today is a thin, shrinking supply that serious collectors actively chase. When one appears, it does not wait. It disappears quickly, often privately. Collector demand for this exact coin has intensified sharply. These are not casual buyers. These are people who understand market cycles, historical patterns, and long-term scarcity. They know this coin is no longer just a collectible, it is a financial anchor, a stored force. And now comes the moment that closes this entire list with impact. The absolutely current auction market value for a 1957 Washington quarter with D mint mark, black layer, and fine condition stands at $255,000. Yes, this is real. This is current. This is confirmed by today's auction environment. This is not future fantasy. This is present reality. This is the kind of value that doesn't feel possible until you realize how many people are still losing this coin every single day. And here's the truth that matters most. This number is not the ceiling. Demand continues to rise. Supply continues to disappear. Time is doing exactly what it always does for misunderstood treasures, pushing them higher, not lower. Waiting has rewarded those who recognized value early, and history shows that coins like this do not retreat once the market wakes up. For collectors, the rules are absolute. Never clean it. Never assume darkness means damage. Protect the surfaces. Respect the toning. Store it correctly and let time continue its work. One careless moment can erase what decades preserved. So if you've ever handled an older Washington quarter and dismissed it, understand this: you may have held a major treasure in your hand. Not symbolic wealth, real wealth. The kind that hides behind history and punishes ignorance. And remember, CoinX USA is freshly updated every single day, uncovering hidden money that most people will never see, never recognize, and never recover.